Hi, I'm Severo from Hornet Plugins. I'm here today because we want to show you how our latest plugin, the Hornet AutoGain M-Key 2. The AutoGain Pro M-Key 2 is a plugin designed to help you with gain automation in all its form. It improves on the original AutoGain Pro and adds mid and side capabilities and much more flexibility. It provides two different detectors that you can route to a mid or side source or internal reference or internal mid and side source, and two processors that are linked to the left and the right side in stereo mode or to the mid and side in mid side mode. But we have a lot to say about the plugin, so let's dig it into the interface and I'll show you how it works and exactly how it's built inside. So, this is the interface for the plugin. Here we have the classical automation drop-down that you know from the previous versions. You can choose between ignore or read or write, and this determines how the plugin works. In ignore, it works automatically. In read, it reads the automation written on the automation lane of your DAW, and in write the automation to your workstation. So with this drop down, you decide how you want to work. Mode determines how the plugin works inside. By default, it works in stereo mode, but you can choose the classic mode, which if you choose this, it will work like the original AutoGain from some years ago. And you can choose mid-side mode, that is the new one. When it's in stereo mode, you have the first processor linked to the left channel and the second processor to the right channel, while the detectors can be linked to what you want between the available source that we will dig it in a while. In mid-side mode, the first processor is linked to the mid of the sum of the two channels, and the second processor is linked to the side or the difference of the two channels. But we'll have a look to the step mode first. Then you have the big display here that shows the gain that is being applied and the processing that is being applied, and you can decide which lines you want to see, simply toggling them on or off. The first two shows the signal that is being detected by detector 1 and detector 2, while the other two shows the gain that is being computed by the processor and applied to your main signal. We have two detectors, as we were saying, and this is very useful if you want to work in mid-side, less useful if you work in stereo unless you want to create some strange effect. And for the most part in stereo you will want to work with detector 1, and you can decide the source of the detector with this drop down, and you have the internal mid. That means that the sum of the channels on the input of AutoGain Pro is taken as a reference. The internal side, the difference between the input channels of AutoGain Pro, is taken as reference. External mid and external side is the same as internal, but coming from the external side chain. Internal fix is a fixed level that you can use as a reference if you want to keep stable around at a certain level your signal. Then you have the gate that allows only the signal, the detector signal, if it's higher than the gate level. Then you have the usual filter that you had in the old version that are used to shape the detection. So if you want to focus on voice, for example, you can use a higher high-pass filter and a lower low-pass filter just to focus on the vocal range. And you have attack and release that are used to smooth out changes in the reference signal. with this new version, you have a very fast attack and release that can go down up to 1 millisecond, and this is very helpful and can bring the system in the realm of transients processor, because working this fast allows you to shape your transient if you want. Now we'll bring back to the standard. Then we have the level of the detector used to increase or decrease the action on the processor, and the switch to toggle the detector on or off to save the CPU if you are not using it. Detector 2 is the same as detector 1, but you can choose another source. It's now turned off in the default preset. Then you have the two processor, left and right in this case, because we are working in stereo mode, and for which you can choose the reference. There can be detector 1, detector 2, or none, if you want to turn it off. The working mode, peak or RMS. We usually use RMS for music application, unless we want to have a strange effect, because the action is much smoother. And you have these two knobs that allows you to choose the maximum and minimum gain applied by the processor. The gain scaler, the same parameter as the auto gain, that scales the computed gain to keep it more manageable and avoid big jumps. And the attack and release for the main signal, that allows you to smooth out changes and have something more more musical. Both these knobs can be linked, and you also have a reverse button that reverses the gain applied. When the signal goes up, the gains will go down. Now, this is a quick overview. That processor 2 is the same, of course, as processor 1, and in stereo mode they are copied and it's disabled. Now, this is for the stereo mode. If you work in mid-side mode, processor 2 becomes enabled, and it works on the side, because you may want to have different settings for the side than for the mid part. For example, you may want to keep more under control the side and let mid go wider. You can do that by choosing a different level of gain and different source or processor mode. What exactly does the plugin do? It splits the input signal in two different parts. One is fed to the detectors and the other to the processor. The detector works the signal so that the resulting control signal is something that can be used to manipulate the gain of the processor. How this is done? It's very simple, actually. It's a simple comparison that it's done between the two levels, the one of the detector and the one of the processor. The difference between these two levels determine the gain that you have to apply to your main signal to obtain the result. Now, to show you quick how it works, I will go through some presets that we have provided for this plugin. The first uses the internal fixed and is meant to make the bass more steady. Now we will use a part of a song that I've produced some time ago, and I will show you how this preset tries to keep the gain of the song always at a fixed level. You see, the gain is lowered and always adjust to make sure that it sits almost at the level. One important thing is that the view here is relative to the level set in min and max gain, and it's shown up here and down here. So when it goes to 100% in this case, it means that it's minus 6 dBs. If we change the level of the reference, we change the working point of the processor, so it will reduce the gain less than before. Then we can work in many other ways. For example, let's see an external sidechain. This preset works like a sidechain compressor, creating the typical effect of the pumping sound that you have in dance music. To make this work, we have to use an external track here with a kick drum. This kick drum is sent to the return C, and the output of the return is sent to the control input of the AutoGain Pro. And I'll show you how it works. Changing the attack and release times changes the pumping effect. So in this case, this plugin can also be used for the typical dance effect of the pumping kick and pads. But AutoGain Pro MK2 is so flexible that it can also work like some mid-side enhancer, stereo enhancer, thanks to the mid-side, and in some strange ways that it's more funny than your typical stereo enhancer, because it reacts to the music that is playing. Let's have a listen. So, as you see here, the detector 1 is set to internal fix because we want a fixed level, and only the side component changes because the scalar of the mid component is set to 0%. And we have this very funny effect that the side goes with the music and tries to stay at the same level and having some stereo enhancement that you never had before. We also make a stereo reducer working the opposite. Just set the reverse gain here and the stereo field is reduced. But this plugin can also work like a transient designer, almost. Using these two presets shows you how. We are comparing the two envelopes from the detector and the processors, and since it can go very fast, making this difference in times here create the space to analyze the spike of the sound and enhance it in this case. Let's have a listen. Probably it's better if I turn off the kick drum here. Let's listen to how the percussive part of the piano is enhanced. But we can also reduce it, working in the opposite direction. Oh, sorry, wrong preset, peak reducer. It works exactly like the enhancer, but the reverse gain is applied, so what was enhanced before is reduced now. So this is just a quick overview of this plugin that can do a lot of things, and you have to experiment to really grasp how it works. If you have questions, just write me and I will gladly answer. Just go to www.honeplugins.com, try out the demo, and let us know what you think about it. Thank you very much for watching.